The British honeybee. At first light in an English orchard, a worker honeybee rises from a dandelion and flies straight toward her hive, carrying tiny flakes of nectar that will soon become part of a communal store. This is the story of the great British honeybee. The native dark bee Apis mellifera and the mixed lineages common to Britain. Told through seasons, experience, and clear facts. In medieval gardens, straw skeps stood among herbs and espaliered fruit trees. Monks valued bees for wax used in chapels and for honey consumed at the dining table. By Tudor times, beekeeping was a familiar skill in country households, closely tied to orchards and kitchen gardens. In 1609, the English clergyman Charles Butler published the Feminine Monarchie, a plain and careful beekeeping account that clearly identified the queen as the colony's ruler. He documented and described swarming behaviors, buzzing as musical tones, and the bees' seasonal habits. These close observational studies have continued hitherto. John Ray's 17th-century writings set a standard for natural history, and Stephen White's 1730 Notes from Linton offered practical guidance that beekeepers recognized as sound. In 1851, the American pastor Lorenzo Langstroth described bee space and introduced movable frames, a design British beekeepers quickly adopted because it allowed inspection and management without destroying combs. By 1912, county groups had come together as a national association to coordinate training and disease control. In 1922, Brother Adam at Buckfast Abbey began a selective breeding program in response to heavy losses. Over decades, he developed the Buckfast bee, known for gentle temper and strong production. In 1953, Karl von Frisch received recognition for decoding the waggle dance, showing that direction and distance to forage can be conveyed by precise movements on the comb. Inside a hive, the colony functions as a single organized system. The queen lays eggs that replenish the workforce during the long days of spring and summer. Workers, which are sterile females, move through a sequence of roles as they age. They begin as nurses that feed larvae and regulate brood temperature. They become builders that secrete wax scales and draw comb. They process nectar, evaporate moisture by fanning, store pollen, and guard the entrance. In their final stage, they forage for water, pollen, and nectar, navigating by the position of the sun and patterns of polarized light. Drones, the males, are few and seasonal. Their task is to mate with a queen during flight. A queen mates with many drones high above the ground and stores sperm for years, giving the colony genetic diversity. British forage follows a recognizable calendar. Early flows come from willow, blackthorn, and orchard blossom in April and May, followed by hawthorn, bramble, clover, and lime through June and July, and heather on the moors in late summer, with local variations across England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Numbers clarify the effort involved. A strong colony in late spring commonly ranges from 20,000 to 50,000 bees. A queen at peak can lay more than 1,000 eggs per day. To produce a pound of honey, foragers make tens of thousands of trips and visit millions of flowers. Yields vary with weather and forage density. In a good summer, a hive near mixed farmland may produce 20 to 30 pounds of surplus honey. In a poor year, none. Honey reflects the plants visited. Heather honey sets to a gel-like texture and carries a resinous aroma. Lime honey is pale with a cool note. Spring honey from oilseed rape crystallizes very finely and quickly. Pollen stores appear as colored bands around the brood, a visual record of nutrition that ranges from bright yellow dandelion to brick red chestnut. The craft of beekeeping in Britain follows the rhythm of the season. Early spring checks confirm that the colony has enough stores and a laying queen. As temperatures rise, colonies expand. From May into July, the natural urge to swarm requires management. Beekeepers use the artificial swarm and other methods to prevent the loss of bees into trees and chimneys, while maintaining honey production. Regular inspections look for eggs standing like pins at the bottom of cells, steady brood patterns, fresh pollen, and the distinctive peanut-shaped queen cells that signal an impending change. Late summer brings extraction. Frames are uncapped and spun in an extractor. The room smells of warm wax and new honey. Wax is rendered for candles and foundation sheets. Propolis, a plant resin collected by bees, is used by the colony to seal gaps and maintain hive hygiene. Autumn management ensures adequate stores and healthy bees for winter. In winter, colonies cluster tightly, generate heat with their flight muscles, and fly only on clear, mild days to cleanse. Culture and language keep pace with practice. Shakespeare's singing masons building roofs of gold evoke comb architecture. The word honeymoon remembers the role of mead at celebrations. The custom of telling the bees, in which keepers inform their hives of family events, reflects the long view of the colony as part of the household. Modern jars of British honey carry place names that function like an address to the land itself. Urban beekeeping has grown steadily. Church roofs, museums, and office terraces host hives that forage on plain, lime, ornamental gardens, and balcony flowers. Associations across the country train beginners to lift frames gently, to read brood patterns, and to recognize the calm bustle that often signals the queen's presence even before she is seen. Certain facts add depth to the picture. Bees see ultraviolet guides on petals that point to nectar. They taste with their feet and antennae. The pitch of a returning forager's wingbeat changes with load, and other bees can detect that difference. Colonies maintain brood temperature near 35 degrees Celsius, even on cool days, by concentrating heat and ventilating with coordinated fanning. In Britain, the winter cluster moves slowly across comb, consuming stores. On a still noon in January, a careful ear against the hive wall hears a steady hum, a sign of life holding its line through the dark months. Across these details, names and dates mark progress rather than departure. Butler, in 1609, naming the Queen. Ray, observing with care in the same century. White, writing from Linton in 1730. Langstroth in 1851, setting frames to bee space. The British Beekeepers' Association forming in 1912 to share knowledge. Brother Adam beginning in 1922 to rebuild stock with patience and record-keeping. Von Frisch in 1953 making the dance legible to science. Recent decades adding citizen surveys that map forage gaps and flowering times across counties. Each entry supports the craft and clarifies the biology. The narrative returns to the simple exchange at the heart of the hive. A forager lands, passes nectar to a house bee, and dances a short figure that points to food. That gesture has repeated in Britain for as long as people have watched bees at work. It links a kitchen spoon dipped in honey to a frame lifted in July, to a page written in 1609, to a monk's candle in winter. The British honeybee endures as a living system that rewards patience and exactness. To understand it is to see how coordinated effort turns scattered flowers into stored light. To care for it is to keep faith with a craft that binds field to table, and season to season with a sound that is steady, purposeful, and unmistakable.